Hi everyone, congratulations! You made it to video 3. So now we are on inheritance. Woohoo! Okay. Well, plus crossing over, which is a little part of meiosis. All right, but good job. Good job studying. I'm really proud of you. Okay, so the first question here is about crossing over. So if we look at our notebook and we go to crossing over, here it is on slide 55. We said that if genes are farther apart on the chromosome, there's a higher probability that this crossing over will happen between them because there's more space between them, right? Whereas if they're close together, because they're close together, there's a lower likelihood of a crossing over happening between them, right? So we can say that crossing over is most likely to happen between this blue gene and this yellow gene because they're further apart, and least likely to happen between the green and yellow. These genes that are close together, they are called linked genes, okay? Because crossing over is unlikely to happen between them. Our example was eye color and hair color. For example, if I have one chromosome with brown hair, brown eyes, but they're linked, they're close together, and I have one with blonde hair, blue eyes, likely the gametes that are formed will either inherit the blonde hair, blue eyes, or the brown hair, brown eyes. It won't be blonde hair with brown eyes, or it won't be brown hair with blue eyes. It's very unlikely because these genes are close together on the chromosome. Okay, so now let's take a look at this question here. I know we didn't do it in class, but you guys can do it. So, well, crossing over is more likely to occur between genes far apart on a chromosome and less likely to occur between genes close on a chromosome. And so in fruit flies, Drosophila, the gene for eye color is A, wing shape is B, and body color C. And they're all on the same chromosome. So these are the likelihood that crossing over will happen between them. We can almost think of them as like units, okay, instead of percentages. We can almost say like, oh, this is like 12 units away. So we can think, okay, gene A and B are like 12 units apart. So here is my chromosome. It says, okay, A and B are 12 units apart. A and C are 6 units apart, and B and C are 18 units apart. So B and C, I'm going to put them here. Since they're my furthest apart, I'm going to put them kind of like the furthest on the chromosome. Okay, B and C. They are 18 units apart. So from here to here is 18 units, or 18%. Okay, so they're far apart, so they have an 18% chance. I noticed that 12 plus 6 equals 18. Okay, so from A to B is 12, and from A to C is 6. And they total 18. So I'm going to say my A is between them. Okay, and my A to C is 6. And my A to B is 12. Okay, so where are my locations of my genes? It would be in this order: B, then A, then C. And A and C would be half the distance to each other than A and B. Okay, so I don't know if you can kind of see that, how 6 plus 12 is 18. Can you kind of see how those add together? Although these are percentages, you can kind of think of them as units, right? Which of these genes has the least likelihood of crossing over? Well, A and C. They only have a 6% chance of crossing over between them, and they are the closest on the chromosome. And then B and C have the highest chance of crossing over between them because they are the furthest on the chromosome. And what is their likelihood of the crossing over happening between them? It's 18%. Okay. All right, I hope that's clear. Okay, so now let's move on to inheritance. this one here is just saying, okay, if we have an allele Y, if for heterozygous dominant, what would the genotype look like? So homozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant. So they're going to be both the same and they're both going to be dominant. Heterozygous, what would heterozygous look like for Y? Heterozygous would be one of each allele, big Y, small y. And homozygous recessive would be two of the same, two recessive alleles. So you would repeat the same thing with each one. So what about for the allele Q? Homozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant, so the HD stands for homozygous dominant. What would it be for Q? Homozygous means the same, and they would both be dominant. Heterozygous is my HE here. Heterozygous for Q means two different alleles. So I have one big Q, one small q. Homozygous recessive means homozygous, I have two of the same alleles, and in this case, they're both recessive, so two small q's. I think you should be able to do the rest, the M and the F. Okay, so now it says for each genotype. So I'm giving you the genotype. I'm giving you the genotype of homozygous dominant, or I'm giving you the genotype of heterozygous. And you have to tell me what the phenotype would be. So remember, phenotype is the physical appearance. Okay? So purple flowers are dominant. Okay, just pretend that straight hair isn't here. Purple flowers are dominant to white flowers. So if purple flowers are dominant, I know that my purple flowers is my capital P, and my white flowers must be my lowercase p. Okay. So what would the phenotype, the physical appearance, be for my homozygous dominant? Homozygous dominant, well, this would be purple flowers. My homozygous recessive, it has two alleles for white flowers. So what would it be? They would be white flowers. Now my heterozygous, this is complete dominance because it says that purple is dominant to white. Okay, so purple is dominant to white. That means if I'm heterozygous, if I have one of each, which one is going to show up? My dominant trait. So my phenotype for heterozygous would be purple, my dominant allele. So now let's do the same thing. Now we're doing curly hair in cats is recessive to straight hair. And it looks like we're using the letter B, okay? So curly hair is recessive. So if it's recessive, curly hair is going to be my lowercase b. And straight hair must be my dominant, so my big B. All right, homozygous dominant. Well, we said my dominant allele is straight hair, so my dominant phenotype would be straight. My recessive, we said, is curly. Never seen a curly-haired cat. That would be kind of cool. Okay, and what would my heterozygous be? I have one dominant and one recessive allele. In this case, it says, curly hair is recessive. It's recessive. It's not, there's no incomplete dominance or anything like that. Curly hair is recessive. So that means my straight hair is dominant. So this would be straight. Okay. Now, for independent assortment, this is my parent, okay? And it wants to know what are the possible genotypes of the gametes that can form? This parent here, what possible gametes or genotypes can they pass on to their offspring? In this case, they can pass down a big A with a big B. That is the only gamete they can produce. That's the only genotype they can produce. A big A with a big B, which is different than this one. This parent here, what genotypes can they pass down? Well, they can pass down, let's see if I can make this a little larger first. I'm sorry, it's so small. There we go. They can pass down a capital A with a lowercase b, or they can pass down a lowercase a with a lowercase b. Okay, so this parent has two possible genotypes that they can pass down. You can try the last one on your own. It should be 4 possible gametes is your answer, or 4 possible genotypes. Okay, now the last one here. Okay, so now let's try these. What are the possible genotypes this individual can pass down? They can pass down a big A with a big B with a big C, or a big A with a big B with a lowercase c, or a lowercase a with a big B and a big C, or a lowercase a with a big B with a small c. Okay, so they have 4 possible genotypes that they can pass down to their offspring. Now, let's see here. Your answer for this one should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. Quite a few for this next one. Okay, so try your best. Let's see if you can do it. Okay. We will stop here for this video, and we will start with the monohybrid cross problems in the next video. Bye, guys.